What steps should marketers take to prepare their proposal for HubSpot implementation from initial research to final presentation?
So what steps should a marketer take? Well, if it were me and I had identified a marketing automation platform or a CRM or even the whole entire platform as a whole, like every hub, if it were me, I would start with a lot of investigating. I would come with a lot of options to the table. There's several that can be looked at. I would ask the opinions of a bunch of internal stakeholders that you would want to use the tool. So I would meet with every department that would be involved in it, as well as either your direct boss or your CEO. I would meet with everyone and just really start having conversations. Really open up the conversation to what would it look like if we wanted to adopt this? And what are your biggest needs? Where do you feel like we're falling short? If the red carpet was rolled out and you had all the information you wanted, what would that be? And then when you start to have an idea of what each person wants or the requirements or long-term projects that you have down the road, then you can start looking at the options that are available to you. And when you start to have meetings with the companies, ask them questions and get a feel and see how well they know your industry and see how much experience they have with doing different programs or operating within different system migrations. So I would just really keep it as open and as fluid as possible in the beginning. And then the more questions you answer, the more kind of people you feel out, you start to narrow it down. You've narrowed it down to a few companies, a few systems, and a few partners to integrate with. I would suggest from the very beginning, bringing every person in the meeting. The more people you have that's involved in the whole process, the better off you are, the more buy-in you're going to have, the more understanding you're going to have from each individual person on how the tool works for them and for their own needs. And all of these kind of hiccup questions or stumbling blocks will be avoided because everything will be hit head on. So that is my biggest, I would say that would be the best way to go. I understand for marketers, there's a tendency, especially marketers within credit unions, there's a tendency to just kind of fly under the radar because you don't want too many people to ask too many questions because you don't want to halt your progress. And while I understand the tendency, I just think that creates such problems in the long run, and that facilitates to the siloed departments and no one talking to each other and the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. And that yields to long-term problems. And HubSpot is a tool that is going to solve for long-term problems. So if we're looking at all of this as a whole, it's important to start with everyone on board together in the beginning.